November 30th, 2021. It is 5:30. Finance Committee meeting, and this meeting is being recorded.
Okay, we'll start with the roll call attendance. I'll read your name. You can say present. If you're not here, don't say anything. Except for Dave, who's on the screen. Okay, Art Pennell, present. Terry Mish,
Present.
Sheila Chamberlain is absent. She notified us that she wouldn't be attending tonight either here or online. Karen DeMayo.
Here.
Alita Di Maria.
Here.
Paul Connolly.
Here.
And Dave Meth. Dave, are you there? Is he there?
All right, I'm here.
Dave,
Thank
you're
you.
here? Okay.
Yeah, I had to unmute.
Okay, very good. And Dr. Richard Zalowski here. Present?
Here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Richard, you'll be voting tonight because we're missing a member. And that's the way it's working. If we're missing a member, the alternate can participate in both. So we'll just keep that in mind going forward. Before we get started, as you're all aware, a recent former member of Bob Project passed away. And I'd just like to ask for a moment of silence. All right, thank you very much. Bob was a longtime member, years and years and years. Very dedicated to the committee. And we'll miss his tenacity. But, okay, so moving on with the agenda, first thing we have is public comment. Do we have anybody else online tonight, Laura?
There's Peter Curry here, and just Melissa.
Okay, Peter's from the newspaper. I believe that what you said?
I think. But I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure.
All right, well,
Yes,
this is-
okay.
This is a chance for public comment. Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to welcoming our new member, Paul Connolly. I want to thank you for your interest, and obviously you've been working on town government for a long time.
Yeah, just introduce myself. I just got off of 16 years in the Board of Assessors, elected member Board of Assessors. Prior to that, there was 6 or 7 years on the Conservation Commission. Prior to that, I served 13 years in the volunteer fire department. So I've probably got over 30 some odd years. I've been in town since 1952. Date myself. But yeah, I've always been an active member of town. I sat for several years on the other side of the table. People have been very generous. I think we have a great town. I want to continue it. We have quality people in office that are very dedicated to running the town of Southwick in an effective manner. And if I can do my part to just do a little bit more for the taxpayers in the town of Southwick, make sure their money is spent effectively, I think that's what we're all here for. So I look forward to doing that. If anybody objects, I'm easy to get a hold of. To tell me what we're doing wrong. And other than that, I think as a board, we do a good job in working with all you people. It is what it is. So we continue on it. I might be a little bit quiet because I'm on a learning curve and I will be listening a lot, maybe not talking, but we'll get into that. So thank you for the welcome.
I think we might be able to refer to you as a senior member now.
Well,
I think I'm taking you off the hook.
I do get a discount at McDonald's. And I asked for it every time.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the background there.
Yep.
It's great stuff. Okay, so next item is approval of minutes. We've got 10/26/21 and 9/28/21. Let's start with October 26th. Everybody had a chance to look at these ahead of time? There are any comments. Speak now where we hold your meetings. Did everybody have a chance to look at them? Yeah. Dave, you all set with these minutes, 10:26?
I am.
Pardon me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. If everybody's all set, we're going to ask for a motion to approve October 26, 2021 minutes.
Motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. These are also roll call votes, so I'll go through the list. That makes it easy. Art Pennell, yes. Terry Mish,
Yes.
Karen DeMayo,
Yes.
Alita Di Maria,
Yes.
David Meth,
Yes.
Paul Connolly,
Can't vote because I was
abstain.
abstaining.
Okay. Richard Zalowski.
Yes.
Okay, those are approved. Next item is September 28th. These were revised and sent back for review, and they've been updated. Basically the same information. Maybe a slight change to the wording than what we were originally looking at.
I did not have time to compare the two meetings. Can you summarize what you changed?
There were some corrections that were
Okay.
needed, as well as some summaries, and one paragraph needed some better explanation.
I didn't have any issues with the mail, so.
All right, anybody have any other issues, any changes? All right, I'll ask for,
I do.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well,
Just one,
speak
we
up,
we
please.
were just, checking to see if anybody else noticed it, so. The meeting was called to order at 5:34, not 5:04.
That was your revision?
Just caught it tonight when I was reading
That was
through
your-
it again, yeah.
Thank you for admitting. All right, so
But we were tests, this was a test.
5:34. All right, is there anything else?
I think she's gonna throw in a mistake every once in a while in there, so everybody needs to do that. Do
Oh, the
teachers
test.
do that kind of stuff?
All right, anything else? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve September 28th, 2021.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Art Pennell, yes. Terry Mish,
Yes.
Karen DeMayo,
Yes.
Alita Di Maria,
Yes.
David Meth,
David Methy, yes.
Methy, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Paul Connolly,
Abstain.
Richard Zalowski.
Yes.
Okay, they're approved with an abstention and one absence. Sheila. Okay, next item I put on the agenda was a Board of Health update. Because between our last meeting and now, I believe, the Board of Select Board and Terry, did you meet with them regarding the Board of Health personnel?
Yes, yes, I did.
Just give us a little background. Give us a little background.
So just to kind of let you know, when I went up there, it was a little early, and they were there. They were spreading out all of these, clipping checks to these applications because they don't have a secretary, they don't have a nurse, and they had no director. So they were struggling with that secretary part. And Russ Fox was there also, and he's gotten them help. A lot of the stuff is back between Russ, the select person, and the health board. So they're looking at what they can do as far as secretarial help within the building and stuff like that. So they may end up needing a little bit more for that, although they're covered for a while yet. But it's really nothing much with us as far as that small thing. So the nurse, the health nurse, is kind of on hold. They're waiting for a grant. It's something that they do between multiple towns, and they have secured some temporary help reporting things like it's very complicated, I guess, with the any COVID stuff. I'm not going to go into what that details, but they have got people helping for that. As far as the no director, Tom Fitzgerald, who is the former health director, has signed on to assist, and he'll be there, for whatever needed. And they are looking for applicants for the health director. And there's a number of things that they want to make sure that they're able to have skill sets and licensing, or I guess you'd call it licensing, for things like soil evaluation and things like that. Where it may come to us again is they may end up needing more money for that position, and they, it's again not our say whether it's a full-time or part-time. It sounds pretty much like it's going to be a full-time type of position, and I mean, they were throwing ranges around. They may need an additional $10,000 for if they hire somebody for like the next budget cycle. So we'll all hear about that at the budget hearings when we have them, or if something percolates up, between then and now and then, we'll be able to they will be able to come in and give us some kind of update on what they're looking to do. But currently, I mean, when I walked in that thing, they were in a bit of a hurry. So, but I think by the time we got done, I think they got a number of those things covered. So I think we're okay at this point in time.
So they had issues with the health director position and a secretarial position. They didn't have enough hours for the secretary, they thought. That's what they're proposing, more hours for the secretary, correct?
I'm not going to say that. No,
Well,
I don't.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I'm,
So they have a secretary, just that
they have no
hours?
secretary. It's just,
Yeah, well, see, there's a long running arrangement. There was a long running arrangement upstairs. The building inspector and the health inspector share an office, so to speak. They used to share, they have separate offices. They share a common area where they had a common secretary who worked for both of them. And over the years, more of that secretary's time has gone towards the building inspector, and it's pulled hours away from work for the Board of Health. And I got to say that, I was on the Board of Health years ago, and
chairman,
pardon me.
you were the chairman, and an award-winning chairman, I may add, by the way.
Thank
He did win state awards for being the chairman of that.
Okay.
So people don't know.
Put an asterisk next to that. Anyway, the responsibilities of the health department have increased substantially, as you might expect. Government gets bigger and bigger. They have more responsibilities. They're involved with more things. public health, the definition of public health is expanded. So the health director position has increased hours as well as the need for secretarial support staff. Okay, that's what this whole thing is about. And what, again, my understanding is that when our most recent health inspector left for a job across the river, which paid substantially more than what we were paying here, when our health board solicited applications to replace that person, they found that the salary range that they were offering, people just weren't interested in. Or the people that were applying and accepting of the salary were not qualified. And again, there's a lot of things that, there's a lot of licensing and certifications now that the health inspector needs to have, should have. So as a result, this meeting with Terry and, let's say, Selectman Fox,
Yes, sir.
and who was there from the health department, from the health board?
There was,
Sue Bosker,
yes,
Tom there, Tom Fitzgerald.
Tom was there. Gene Nielsen
Okay, all right.
and Kane, Mackenzie Kane.
Okay, she's a health board member as well.
Yes.
All right, so again, my understanding is what the select board's trying to do is once again, utilize monies for the time being, utilize monies that are already available to allow the health department to increase their offering for their salary range. And I don't know what the number is, but they're working within the budget. And they're also trying to utilize additional hours for other secretarial staff that are immediately in the same area that work within next door and other offices to support the health department. And this, again, this is all a temporary arrangement pretty much until the next budget cycle that we're going to be going through until March and April, where they can actually nail down hard numbers about what they need for which position. So there's no financial considerations for us right now regarding this, but there most likely will be a change to their budget when we see it coming up in a month or two. So thank you, Terry, for checking into that and working on it.
That was good. It was eye-opening. I'd been to meetings before, but not like that one. It's different.
Okay, so does anybody have questions about that or comments or anything?
I just have a quick comment is that it appears ever since this whole COVID thing has started and the $15 an hour at McDonald's and all this stuff like that, but it appears that the quality of services that the people of Southwick are going to receive from any entity of the government in the town of Southwick is directly related to the amount of money we want to compensate people that work for us. We've had people leave because of more money. So it's just, it's the way it is nowadays. So, I mean, yeah, things are going to cost more money. And if you want the quality people and you want the services that the people in town expect, it's going to cost more money. So just to be a realist down the line, because you know we're all going to sit upstairs and people are going to come in and are going to ask for money. It's guaranteed. So it's like you can sit there and go, no, 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 but don't on the other hand, well, I didn't get the services I expected. It was because you didn't pay the money to get the quality people you expected for the services you wanted rendered. We're in a tough spot. We're looking out for the taxpayer on one hand, trying to make sure that they're not overpaying. But then again, on the other hand, they want us to give them the services they expect. So a balancing act with the board, make the recommendations, but we're in a new world. You know, it is what it is. And you drive up and that $1 cup of coffee is now $1.50. It is what it is. You want the coffee, you pay the $1.50, otherwise you can drive right to the window. So we as a board have to be realists with that, and I think there's like a new understanding with the board. You have to understand that, and how much the people of the town will tolerate in return what they want for the services they expect. We have several, I mean, we have hundreds of new people in town living in various housing projects. Maybe they came from the city. Well, we used to get that in the city. Well, this is Southwick, but Southwick isn't a little country town. It was when I moved here in 1952. So just being a realist, but I mean, as a board, we'll, digest that and see. But, people, and you really hate to lose quality people for a few bucks. When you get somebody into a spot in town running the thing, and all of a sudden you find out that, oh, I'm giving my notice because I'm going to this town because they offer me a few bucks more. Should we have upped the ante to lose them? Because really good people are hard to find. So that's what I'll be looking forward to doing.
And I will add to your
Yeah.
comment that not only for extra pay, they're gonna want some benefits too. And we have an awful lot of part-time positions that don't pay benefits, don't get any paid vacations, holidays. So there could be various negotiation options that we could take with trying to obtain new employees or retain old ones.
Well, I think the select board has, just by seeing that the thing with the council on aging and the parks and rec, and this, they're trying to meld as much stuff together as they can, but I think that's just going to be short-lived, and there's going to be some bullet biting coming up, and we're just going to have to say, well, we're going to need 2 more full-time positions or whatever in the town, and pay them, X number of bucks. So that will be coming.
I mean, I look at it is, you look at the big picture, and in the end, you might have saved a few pennies here in the end, but
Yeah.
the end result, you just should have coughed it up, and life would have been much better for everyone in town. You know what I'm saying? And I think if people have a problem with that, you can come into a meeting and come on down and tell us that we're wrong. But
Hey, Art,
Yeah,
So
go ahead, Dave.
I have a question as we kind of embark on our liaison responsibilities. Do the towns have, do the departments have kind of a mission statement or a description of their duties and what the risks are if some of those responsibilities aren't fulfilled? Because as I think about it, I probably only know a fraction of what the health department really does and what they're responsible for. I think I might have assumptions in my mind and think that I know what they do. And yeah, the clerk, all they do is stand behind the glass and give out licenses or something, right? But I'm sure there's just a whole lot of other things that they're responsible for that I'm really ignorant of. And so as I go to these departments and I have to kind of assess and weigh what their asks are and whether they're, the validity of those, I wouldn't be serving them well if I didn't really know half of what they're really responsible for. I just didn't know if they have anything like that that's available.
Dave, this is Terry. Do you have a copy of the, what is it, the thing that we hand out at the annual town meeting?
Annual
The
report?
big book, it's the big book there.
The annual.
If you have a copy of that, you can actually, I think, maybe it's not everyone, but I think there's most departments have a
we lost it.
description. We did?
they have a goals and objectives thing that they're basically
Yeah.
set every year. What are your goals?
I shut it
and
down.
objectives for the next
I
year?
shut down the owl. So anyway, that's my suggestion if he comes back on.
I was going to suggest that if you want to understand what the Board of Health is looking for the director position, you take a look at the job posting. Because there's a lot of detail in there about the
Yeah.
things they're looking for from the
Yeah.
person.
And you can get
That's
that
a
online.
quick
too.
way to look at it. That's probably posted online or channel
Yeah, it
15
was. I plucked it offline.
as a shortcut to what you're looking for. Okay, so any other questions about the Board of Health issue? We'll be talking about it at our regular budget process.
And they do have this, it's, this was approved on 10/12/21, the job description that they have for the Board of Health, for the director.
You might make that available to Nina. Maybe she can copy it to Dave.
Pluck it off.
All right, we're gonna move along. All right, the next item is the town hall roof and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning project. The select board is meeting with the engineering firm on December 13th, and we are invited to attend that meeting to hear a presentation from the engineering firm. They'll be discussing different roofing options and pricing and that sort of thing. You actually get to look at some of the roofing materials in person at this meeting. And just to give everybody a little background, the reason that we're looking at the town hall roof and HVAC project is because that was part of an undertaking that started about 3 years ago, where every town building was analyzed for maintenance needs going forward over the next 15, 20, 50 years. And so what the select board is trying to do is all these different needs were prioritized by the engineering firm, and along with different town employees that helped them make decisions about that sort of thing. So we're working on a very long list. I'm trying to remember what the total dollar amount was. $17 million.
I get it mixed between the,
If you did everything all at once.
Yeah.
But anyway, these needs are prioritized. So what the select board is trying to do is work the way down the list. The fire department roofing project was the first big thing on the list.
highest priority.
This, first highest priority. This roof is high priority now because it's 20-something years old. It's already had leaks and problems, and the heating and ventilation system also needs to be relocated and addressed at the same time, or in conjunction with the roofing project. So that's why they're looking at this particular project right now. So that meeting will, again, the presentation from the engineering firm will explain a lot about what they're considering, and they're going to make recommendations and suggestions and talk about dollars. And it'll be something for this committee to take in and digest. I don't know if we can make any decisions that night about anything. Maybe the color of the shingles, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yes.
I've got a question.
Let me just chime in a minute here, second. Two things. One, the last time we had that, it was in the auditorium, and it was extremely informative. I mean, I really learned something there. And, again, this is all new folks here. I really recommend that you go. The second thing is maybe we should also get a copy for everybody of that,
The overall study,
the overall study. I think that would be good for them to see.
great
that.
idea. It's a great idea to get an
Get that
understanding of
to
what we're
everybody.
talking about. I think we could probably request that through the select board's office. I don't know if everybody wants a copy of that, or just the newer folks.
I would want a new one, just to see anything change too, so.
All right, well,
And I'd like a hard copy.
I think that was available online as well. And that's probably gonna be the way they want to provide it. You probably get a hard copy as well.
I want
But I think that was also sent out originally, as a PDF or something, or some other thing.
Now, since we're talking about the roofing here, the roof over on the fire station, now. That was a chance that we took on different roofing materials over there. How's that working out? Any problems? Do they like the new material? Do they like the roof?
So far, so good as far as the mechanical aspects of it. I understand that there was a little question about color matching on the roofing materials are often, if you're doing a project, you get the roofing materials from the same lot because different lot numbers of materials have slight color variations. Well, it seems that they use two different lot numbers on this membrane roofing, and there's a slight variation in color. And I personally never noticed it, but somebody noticed it and they brought the issue up, and it was raised with the construction firm, I believe. So it's being looked at, but
The quality of the material and the installation of the roof has been.
everything seems to be good. One thing that I like about this project that they did over on the fire station, you're gonna do the same thing here. We're utilizing a former building inspector, Art Lawler, to oversee the project directly. So he's on the job every single day, addressing every single issue that comes up. That's important because on big projects, issues come up every day. And if there's somebody not there to address some things, go by the wayside, they get ignored. He's very proactive. I have a high level of confidence in that arrangement and in him. And he was shown to be very effective on the fire department roof project. So they're going to do the same thing here. Absolutely.
Over my 69 years in Southwick, I have seen many multi-million-dollar jobs done in Southwick, whether it be schools, building a fire station, whatever. Historically, you should hire a clerk of the works, and a clerk of the works is a person that works for the town of Southwick and oversees a job. If he doesn't like what they're doing, he stops it. No, don't do that. That's not right. We just spent $1 million on a $2 million fire station that wasn't that old to replace the roof. So that should have been corrected before it was done. Where Southwick comes up in their shortfall, in my estimation, is we would be better served, and coming from that background, you can hire retired engineers. I would rather spend on a couple $1 million project, I would rather spend $100,000 to hire a retired engineer to be there on the job every day. No, don't do that. That's not going to work, because he's going to save us money downstream, because all of a sudden 2 years later, hey, the roof's leaking. Really, we shouldn't have done it. So rather than spending another $1 million, I would have rather spent $100,000 to have this guy that knows. No, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way. Southwick has been short-sighted, and there's virtually every project in town, whether it be a fire station here, where there's been shortcomings with the roof or this, that, or the other thing. Pay a little bit of money up front. It saves us so much money downstream. And it's nice to be thrifty and think you're saving the taxpayers dollars, but it just seems we always end up paying in the end. So I would rather see any of these multi-million-dollar projects, part of the deal being hire a retired engineer from Titan Bond or whoever. Trust me, these guys are out there because I've worked with them. I worked in construction. We've been starting a job, and the guy walked up and went, "Stop what you're doing." Why? Because I told you so. You're not doing it that way. Do it this way. That's what they're there for. So you spend a little bit of money up front, you save it tenfold on the other end. We wouldn't spend the $1 million on the roof of the fire station because it wouldn't have had a shingle roof to begin with. It's not efficient in the wing, you know what I'm saying? But we spent $2 million, and then within a few years, we spent another $1 million. I'd have rather spent the $100,000 to have the engineers go, no, you're not doing it that way. I think Southwick gets a much better deal in the end. So I think we just have to look at that. And when we put these multi-million-dollar projects out, which we're probably going to have a bunch of them coming down the road, spend a little bit of money up front, it saves us a ton of money on the other end. Just my input. And like I say, you can look at the fire station, look at the roof here. How much more proof do you need? You need to hire a quality clerk of the works. Spend the money, make sure the job's done right. It gives the taxpayer in the town the best bang for their buck. So in the end, well, they can argue up front it's a waste of money. Well, 2 years down the line, when we're sitting at town meeting, we're asking for $1 million, somebody doesn't have to get up and hold their head in shame that, well, we should have done this. This guy would have caught it and saved us some money. Just my input.
Okay.
Okay.
There is a David signed on, but I don't know whether it's David Metheny because there's no video. It says David, it's not the same sign in.
Phantom David.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Amy. So,
All right.
That's Dave?
sorry, I lost, my computer wasn't plugged in. I thought it was, and it just died on me pretty quick, but I'm back. So thank you. Sorry about that, folks.
All right, Dave, did you hear that conversation about the roof project, the town hall roof project?
I caught most of it. Yeah, I did, yes. And, you know, I can follow up on the meetings, the meeting minutes if I missed anything.
All right. To Paul's point, yeah, oversight is important. Whether or not it's actually another engineer is debatable. Okay, if there aren't any other questions about that, I would encourage everybody to try to get to that meeting. It is informational, as Terry said. It'll give you a good understanding of the project that's ahead of us.
Can I just ask where are the recommendations located? You said there's online somewhere.
I'm not sure if that's online or not. It could be, but he'll
Oh, you're
get
talking
that
about
also.
all the buildings? in town?
Yeah.
That may still be, it was online. It may still
Was
be
it?
there.
Okay, could be. I don't know if
I'll
it's been
check.
updated
I'll
or
check,
not.
but if it's being tracked down too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fairly large.
Yes, it's
Multiple-
it's a book. It's like this in a hard copy, so it's with pictures. Okay, all right. So we're all set with that. Now I put in discussion about the Community Preservation Act Trust Fund announcement. The town received a 94.4% match this year of $340,000 plus, and that's especially significant because there's been years where that 94% was down below 50%, I believe, 40%.
Yeah.
At some points in the last 10 or 15 years, because the state couldn't find the money that they had promised to send us.
And larger, like Boston, came on board too, which pulled a lot of money out of the kitty.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought that they would be a draw on the fund and take away from some of the smaller communities, but
I don't know whether
with
that
the, right, with the reimbursement rate going up for one reason or another, it doesn't look like that happened.
And I
Or
think
they-
there's been efforts by the legislature to add more funding to that program
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Southwick has a 3% fee tax above the first $100,000 valuation.
So can we pay off some of the debt, some of the borrowing against future CPC funds with the additional taken in, or?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Because North Pond was funded based on borrowing against future CPC funds. So if we got a windfall in CPC, is there any way to put it towards, or the excess, put it towards the debt?
Excess is a funny word.
Well, I know. Well,
You see it, I'll bet
above
there's
and
people
beyond
that
normal
don't see that extra
reimbursement
penny.
Yeah.
I'll bet there's people that have that spent already. That may not be, no, seriously, this is a good question. You can discuss who's the liaison to CPC. You could
That's
talk,
me.
you could talk to them about that. It's also a legal question as well, whether or not
can they?
these funds can pay off the debt that's incurred by the CPC. I don't have the answer, I don't know, but it's certainly a good question that, you know, should be explored. And you can report back to us, let us know. All right? No, seriously, I'm curious myself. Again, you know, every project that goes through the CPC has to be recommended by that committee to town meeting. So even if it was available, say, some of that money to help pay off the debt, it would have to be forwarded by that committee to town meeting and then voted at town meeting. So, you know, it's a process, but it's, I suppose it's possible. Again, if it's legal, which I don't know. But good question. So that's a good news. We're almost at 100% of what we're supposed to get from the state. You know, that's a good day. That they're sending us back most of the money that we paid them.
Oh, sorry, just gonna say it's our money.
It sure is. Every penny we get back helps.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. The school committee has their annual roundtable budget meeting coming up, where they invite the select board and finance committee of all three towns and region to attend, and they do a presentation and kind of give us a general overview of what they're looking at in terms of their budget for the upcoming year. Very informational usually. There might not, there's never any hard numbers. There's not a lot of hard numbers at this meeting. And just like our budget, when they develop their budget, they have iterations, they have drafts to go along before they actually have the final draft. And as I say, it's very informational, and you have an opportunity to ask questions. And
I will not be attending that. However, I do have a question. I
and
think
that's
in-
Thursday, right? That's
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
What was my question? My question was, I thought I saw in the paper or somewhere about having some extra money that they were trying to figure out what to spend it on, like a fair amount of money. And they were talking about putting it into salaries, hires and things like that. My question is, you know, I mean, is that just a one-year deal? I don't really think that's a good idea. But if they have something like they need the parking lot redone, if that money can go to that, let's get that done that way. Let's get some infrastructure done that's gonna be last
right.
a long time, and that and not coming back 2 years from now and saying, oh, we gotta pave the parking lot.
One-time money is often better utilized on capital items rather than salaries and continuing expenses like that.
I agree with you on that.
You do?
Oh, definitely.
That's from sitting on the side of the table.
Well, maintenance seems to be the sacrificial lamb over there over personnel.
Except
And then
paving the parking lot.
Well,
We have
all of a sudden, we
approved
need
to
$80
pave
million
parking
to
lots
repair
many,
things.
many
We should spend
times in the past few
maintenance
years. So I wonder how much of that money actually got to the parking lot.
I don't know. I don't like going to the school thing because I have no real say there. We have no say as the finance committee. So
Once their budget's approved, all right, can they move line item money in between line item and line item?
The school?
Yeah.
We have no say in it.
I
So
know,
you-
but I would just kind of ask.
I-
I'm
because
sure it's done.
Rhetorical question. I
It
have no
just seems like. And I'm a
Yes,
graduate of it, but,
exactly.
you know, if you keep deferring maintenance, a few years back, it seems like we spent like $80 million to renovate, and then it just, so, yeah, I
Infrastructure, yeah.
yeah,
let's go with
you
that.
know, if we're, well.
That's just my.
Well, and getting back to my point about when we do building and this stuff and that stuff, I mean, maintenance is a very important thing, because the more you defer it, the more it bites you in the butt further down the line. And you have to do it in the end. I mean, all of a sudden people walk in and go, hey, we're getting rain all over our desk in the office, so we have to repair it. Well, you know, we give you money 5 years ago to repair that. Well, yeah, but we needed it for personnel. No, we gave you that money.
I know they have a D&E budget that I think is a little more discretionary where they can spend it. Their operational budget, I don't know if they can move it within line items and how much approval they need, whether it'd be the school committee's approval.
Yeah, that would be
But
my
I do
question.
know, because I have called them out at annual meetings, that there has been times when the town approved their capital spending budget, and somewhere during the year, they didn't use it for that purpose, and they used it for another purpose. And I was told that all they needed to do was go to the select board and get the select boards.
Right, well,
And
that's,
that's where I called them out on parking lot paving.
right.
How
that-
many
right,
times the town has approved money for paving a parking lot?
Right, that's my point, is you like sit there in good faith at a town meeting, 150 people show up and figure, good, this is gonna be done, and you walk out the door. And all of a sudden, you drive in the next year, you're driving through all the potholes. You're thinking, I thought we approved this. Oh, well, so, yeah.
You know, but like you have said, we have
Money,
little to no
money
say
just,
over the schools.
right, money just basically needs to be well spent for the interest of the town, so that's what we're here for, to make sure that what it needs to get spent for, it's spent for, not put somewhere else. So the
Paul,
taxpayer gets to pay.
To your point, historically, Paul gives us a lot of history. We appreciate that. To his point, historically, the school did, I don't want to say ignore, but they addressed maintenance. And that's what led to our $80 million school renovation project. And at the time that was approved, the current, shortly after that was approved and the project was done, the current select board, I think they're all still there at the same time, approved a procedure that they would go through every year. They'd actually do a walkthrough with the maintenance people and the superintendent in the various school buildings, and they would identify every maintenance issue that was being considered. You know, the tiles were falling down, floor was cracking, and they would try to address things in an ongoing basis rather than ignoring them for 2 decades and then having things literally falling apart. So to your point, there has been an effort made to improve upon that. You know, whether or not it is 100% successful remains to be seen, but it is being addressed, and I know the select board has done that every year. Sometime in January or February.
My father was on the school committee decades ago, and I used to go out with him on Sundays. And he had a master key to all schools, and we would walk through the schools. And stuff that was supposed to be repaired, 9 times out of 10 left for disrepair. And he would question it. So it's, we sit here as a board and people come in good faith and I need this, this, and this, no matter whether you're police, fire, whatever, okay? And we fully expect that they're gonna execute their budget as they presented it to the board. I think that's a fair assessment, okay? I need this, this, and this, and we make our best judgment based on that, okay? And it's nice to have a liaison, whether it be, you know, police, fire, school, whatever. Okay, well, you said you needed this at the school. I'll meet you there. You guys take me in and show me you fixed it. Well, you know, kind of. No, that wasn't how you came before the board. You know, so don't start to divert stuff. If you come to the board and you present what you need in good faith, and you're going to make that, you know, recommendation in good faith, then do it. Don't think you're
So
going to pull a fast on us. You know, it just seems to be that way because it just seems that way with, and I trust me, I have nothing against the schools, but if you need the roof fixed, fix the roof. Don't divert the money for something else, or if you need this, the heating system, or you need new windows, do it.
We
That's
have-
what you came before.
we have
So,
senior members-
so I have a question along those lines.
We let just Dave get in here. Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, Karen. Yeah, and so this brings up an interesting, concern. And is there a way, maybe it's a question for the select board or the town moderator when vote is taken, or even if the select board is appropriating or approving a large capital expense, can they put a stipulation that if it's not, the money must be applied to that particular project? And if that project does not, yield that much cost, then the funds have to be returned to the general budget or something?
I can, my comment on that is, if there's, say, there's a large project, for example, the fire station roof project. If there's money left over from that project, I believe that there's a process in place where that money can be transferred to help address this town hall roof project. Because they're
Well,
similar,
yeah.
obviously not the same building, but it's all, this is all legal.
Yeah. And that's,
It can be done in some circumstances. On the
well,
other
so
hand,
Art, that's a,
if there's no,
Yeah.
if there's a day that it occurs that there's no place to spend the money, it could be returned to the general fund. Right.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not asking that. That's a good use of the funds for the right reasons. What I'm talking about is the school board asking for the parking lot paving when there's maybe not a great chance they're going to follow through with that, but they're still going to get the money and they're going to apply it to whatever, projects that they see fit. And so that's really what I was asking for. If they come forward and say, hey, we want X amount of dollars for a parking lot, and they propose that, can the stipulation be in writing that, yes, the town will grant you that money for that parking lot, but only for that parking lot, not to be used as, a slush fund or for anything else, because you decided, well, you know what, we can go another year without a parking lot. I don't know.
It didn't go into a slush fund. It went into another capital project that particular year, because by the time they got to the paving of the parking lot, they said they ran out of time and the asphalt companies were closed and on and on and on and on.
Yes, but that was the point that you raised,
Karen.
Karen.
Select board, right.
Well, you raised the point, and without the proper oversight, or at least the communication, who knows whether those are good uses? Those are the projects. They may be, but they might not be. And they didn't ask for those other projects. They asked for the parking lot. So anyway, I was just asking if there was a way to safeguard that, so it would protect the funds as they're being asked for and not for anything else to be diverted to.
They did do it legally and go to the select board, but still, I thought that was very deceptive to the town, since the town people voted for a specific purpose that those funds should be used.
Right, that's
So-
exactly my point.
Yeah.
If you walk before this board with a bona fide request, you sit on the other side of the table, we need this, and this. And I'm assuming that you're being honest with the board, and that's what you want the funds for, and that's what you're gonna do with the funds. 6 months down the line, don't sell my intelligence and come in and go, well, no, wait a minute. Remember back 6 months when you sat there and you really needed this, and now you didn't do it? I have a problem with that, because hundreds of thousands of dollars get diverted from projects that need to be done, and somewhere down the line, we're gonna pay for them. So I might have been able to get away with $100,000 if you had done it when you were supposed to. Now it's gonna cost me 300, so that I just think the oversight, and I really think that there should be oversight on all boards, that there's nothing wrong with another set of eyes looking at stuff. And if a member needs to be assigned to that committee and watch what they're spending it, and when they do decide to, divert from what they're doing, comes back to the finance board and goes, hey, remember we had a meeting and they sat there and they cried, they needed this, well, guess what they want to do with the money?
Yeah.
I have an issue with
I'm
that.
gonna say, this year we have 2 new members to the school committee. I think the change in the school committee is a positive change, and hopefully they will be on top of some of the goings on a little bit more. And they're gonna be asking more questions. They're gonna be the school committee is gonna be more of an oversight of the schools rather than just a
Rubber stamp.
rubber stamp.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Rubber
'cause
stamp.
we're-
So
we're all
I'm
look-
hoping.
All right,
We're all
Paul,
looking out for our tax dollar.
Paul, I want to go to your point there real quick. The finance committee, a lot of times, many times, they'll, when those people are changing their operating budget from whatever, one thing to another.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll be coming into here, or going through the selectmen or the county, to ask if they can make that change.
Yeah.
So that's not a big thing. I don't know for the school, because again, I just stay away from that. I have no say, so
Right.
I'm not getting in the middle of any.
Yeah, but
For
just looking,
as a general thing, I don't think that's a big issue in
Right.
town.
I mean, I assume that anybody who's on an elected board or appointed, the way I've always done it is I've always tried to have the best interest of town at heart. I understand that there's unforeseen circumstances that can happen. Things pop up, boilers blow up with those fall, okay, there's
Yep.
unforeseen circumstances, which, we can deal with. But I just hate to see that you just constantly, you end up at town meeting, it's like, geez, I thought we voted for that a couple of years ago. They didn't do that, and now I'm spending another $1 million. I just want to make sure the oversight is there, just to make sure that the guy, paying the taxes, writing the check, gets the best bang for his buck.
There's a lot of stuff does come back through here. You'll
Yep.
see that have been approved,
Right. So
By
at least
us.
when somebody knows you're on the committee, and they go, hey, what's up with this? You can give them a logical explanation.
You've
All
heard
right,
the-
Richard has a comment.
I read what you gave me as far as responsibilities regarding the liaison position. Shouldn't the liaison position be more responsible in opening and closure regarding whatever's accepted or not accepted with spending the money?
We're here to help. We're not here to approve budgets. Not a
No,
liaison.
that's not what I mean. What I mean, isn't there a piece of it that allows you to follow through to make sure that it happens?
No, I don't think so.
Should there be?
We offer guidance and help. We can sit down with the police department and work out a budget, and we can walk out the door and they can sit down again and go, oh, you know what? What about this? And they can change it. We will eventually see the change at our budget hearings, and they'll explain it.
Yeah.
And if there's something glaring, if you're the liaison to the police department, for example, or something glaring, you ask questions and you raise the issue. But we're there as in a support role in terms of developing their budget before it actually comes to the entire committee and select board.
So there is no oversight in any of it.
Yeah, there's
Oversight,
Oversight all the time through the.
Well, that's my
selectmen, through
point.
the-
My point is, should the liaison officer or the liaison person have some type of oversight regarding what he's been working with, what's proposed and what's going to be done with it, as she said?
what do you, I'm not sure what you mean by oversight.
Like,
To
oh,
follow it through right to the
oh,
end.
so their
Okay,
approved
you
budget,
got a parking lot, okay, want to get the parking lot done. We're gonna give you this. Okay, well, the asphalt company shuts down in December, okay? So fine, I'm gonna follow through until the asphalt company opens up, find out if it was done. Is that not part of the liaison's job?
It certainly could be to keep abreast of issues.
Then there's a great possibility that if that was in place, we would,
But that would be the school, and that would be the school board, that would be the, not the liaison. It would be
I
the
don't
school
understand
board
school
committee.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be,
That would be-
he's not talking about just the school, he's talking about.
Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking
I'm
about the
talking about the
DPW.
position in and of itself.
The DPW, for example. I mean, I know they put in. for,
That's not my point. My point is all about the person that's the liaison for the specific job. Does that person have the right to follow through completely with the project?
I don't know necessarily if you want to say a right, but
Or
I would-
responsibility?
I would say throughout the year, what their approved budget is, you might want to check in with them, say, what's going on with this project, this project, this
We
project.
wouldn't be having this conversation if that was in place, I think. Isn't that basically what you were referring to?
I would just like to have the oversight, so somebody could probably report back to the committee and go, hey,
You can, if you're a liaison, you can visit
Anybody you want.
your committee anytime you want.
Yeah.
You can get an update anytime you want. And if there's an issue that you're concerned about, you can bring it back to us.
at least
We
ask
can bring it to
why.
the select board.
Right, at least ask why.
Yeah.
And
I
Just
understand.
like Terry went
Get
to
an answer.
the Board of Health meeting regarding all these positions. Last year, when the water moratorium went into effect, Linda contacted Randy and was asking questions about the moratorium, why it put in place, what's going on to alleviate some of the water issues. Will that moratorium ever go? So we did contact them and get more information.
I understand.
Well, I think having been on this board for, number of years, I think, what some of the questions or whatever, some of the concerns, you'll see alleviated over the course of time once you've worked with the people on the budget. Have you actually seen one of our budget things? I should have brought the green book in with everything still in it. There's a whole process, and
I understand.
between that and then.
That's not my point.
Yeah, but
That-
you're
that's
talking
not-
about,
I understand, but
somebody
that's moot.
riding
It's not-
herd on
What I'm
that.
saying is, if you're gonna
particular-
be a liaison.
Yeah.
You should follow through from the front and the back. End the story. Is
Yeah.
there no responsibility that goes other than opening the door and saying, okay, that sounds real good, here's the money? And that's the end of it. Should there be a follow through with it? Should you follow the project to the end?
You'd have to give specific points of it, but I think over time, you'll see that a lot of that's questions that you're having do happen, whether it's through the selectmen being informed, through accounting being informed, through these things. So many of these boards, they're like, it's peanuts that are on the thing. Your only really big concern would be the big players, the DPW, the police, the fire. And that's, maybe there's another one, but most of these things are, they're nickel dime, even the whatchamacallit, the Board of Health. Maybe looking for an additional, make a number up, $10,000 for a whatever. Okay. That's not a huge amount of money. It's not a big concern. And then the other thing that, comes through is when somebody hasn't come up with enough money, we have these requests for transfer from the reserve fund. And when somebody's needed additional money, that's how we find out about it also. So anyway, I just think it'll come to you. It's a time you'll see.
Comes to fruition.
Comes to, the whole process. And then so many new folks here, it'll come. But anyway.
Because you'll see how, in the meetings, I can recall the last couple of years, the budget meetings, they'll justify, you look at last year's numbers and budget numbers, they will justify to you how they moved it from line A to line B because this happened, and from C to D because this happened, and they went to accounting and got it approved, moving from one line to the other. We found we didn't need it in this line, and we moved it. So
I
there,
understand, but
there
if you're
is-
looking at a parking lot that needs to be paved and it's been 3 times running, then there's gotta be something.
I don't think you're gonna see an extreme example like that.
Yeah.
Not up and down.
You can't, there are processes in place when money is moved out of one line item into another. The department head just doesn't say, I want to take money from A and put it in C. It doesn't happen that way. There's an approval process, like Terry said, select board, town accountant. There's laws that regulate these things, a lot of laws that govern finances in town. So it's not a willy-nilly thing. And there's a justification made by a department head at a particular time if they want to move money around. So it's not just like, it's not a casual, insignificant occurrence.
No, I understand that.
Well, all I'm saying is there's processes in
I
place.
understand
If you
that.
want to follow as a liaison, if you want to follow a department week by week, month by month, meet with the department head, I think you can do that. I'm not sure that's quite exactly what we envisioned the process to be. It's not to say that you couldn't do it,
I understand that.
Well,
But
give me an
again, that's
example,
not-
because
that's
I
not
don't
my-
understand
That's
what
not
you're
my
saying.
point. That's not.
What is your point? Give me
My
an
point,
example.
my point is, if you're gonna be in this position to do the liaison thing, one of the biggest features of it is to be able to bring something back to the table, rather than having someone say to you, well, we moved a line item from A to B, and we needed this, we needed that. We're reporting back to the finance committee, as part of the finance committee, to give you the information.
But it goes through accounting, a lot of these things. And that's
I
your,
guess the positions
that's
will
your-
be.
well, no, but
There's nothing to stop
No.
you from keeping
I
us
understand, I
informed.
understand that. My only point was to be able to bring something back to the finance.
you can always bring it back.
That's informing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I call informing us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terry informed us about the Board of Health.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at, what you're talking about.
The liaison goes into further discussion about the budget and some of their budget requests. So when you sit down with them face to face, they can kind of give you a little more detailed background to their request rather than just the 15 minutes they get in the budget presentation. So sometimes it's that conversation afterwards, we have a discussion, we say, they really need this and this is why. So when they're only limited to 15 minutes, it's our side conversation that kind of helps support them.
Support is a good word. Or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah,
had
help
meetings
fight
with
for them.
departments as a liaison. I said, you know what? You're looking for this year? My personal thoughts are, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's, but my personal thought means very little because I don't make any decisions myself. This committee makes decisions.
Yeah, just one.
Select board makes decisions, town accountant makes decisions, town meeting makes decisions. I'm
Which-
just one person.
Which
I
trumps
can
us
say
all.
whatever I want. Doesn't mean anything.
And we've said, no, we don't like this, we don't recommend this at town meeting.
Yeah.
And then it gets voted the other way anyway.
That's right.
It's like, that's the final.
Okay. So that was the round table discussion.
Yeah.
We went around that table.
Well,
All right, so I encourage everybody to attend, if they can. It's gonna be, probably a hybrid meeting. I imagine you can listen. Is it hybrid?
I think it is.
Probably listen from your couch if you like.
yeah, but you can't feel the product.
Yeah, you can't.
We can't touch that, that membrane.
Okay, moving along, new business. Do we have any new business, any issues? Someone like to bring to the board? The committee, right? Okay, old business. I asked Nina to keep master plan update and fire station repair update. I just keep it there under old business. Because periodically, Alita may want to give us an update. And we don't need an update every meeting. I'm not saying that's what we need. If there's something significant that's taken place, you think we would like to know, it'd be helpful. Please feel free to bring that up under old business.
Sure, I'm not prepared for this one, but I can certainly give a rundown. We have a meeting again before our next meeting, and I will come a little bit more prepared. I do have some updates, so I'll do it at the next one.
But it is meeting,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Is there progress? I mean, are they just figuring out who's in charge or?
That's been determined,
Okay.
as well as, and this is why I'm not prepared, I can't remember. the
Yeah,
name
no,
of
that's
the
fine. It's
Consultants, Pioneer.
Valley, yeah. Pioneer Valley.
Yes, so they were selected to be our consultants, and I can fill in a little bit more blanks at our next meeting too.
I just want, so it's moving
It is.
along.
Yes.
Okay, good, and that's it. Because I'm the liaison to the planning board, and I do see that they, at their meetings, they have updates on it, but I haven't, unless it's really affecting us. I'm leaving that to you because I'm not gonna stay, I'm not gonna go through a whole planning board meeting just for,
Yeah.
For that kind of update at the end of their meetings. So,
I didn't bring
Well,
that binder.
yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure that it actually got started. Have they spent any money yet? Okay.
Speaking funny, I listened to the original meeting where they had Pioneer Valley Planning make that
I was on
presentation.
that one, yeah.
And the thing that perked my ears up was that they indicated that there are grants available to towns to develop master plans. 2 or 3 different money
Yeah,
opportunities.
I'll include that as part of, there's a
Yeah.
couple different pieces of that, I'll include that in my update.
And that's the kind of stuff we like to hear, you know.
Yeah.
There's a grant we can apply.
Grants,
Yeah.
we love grant.
Yes, if I brought the right binder, I could have
And
given
no-
you a
and no,
more
that's fine.
substantial
All right.
update, but I
Just 'cause
will,
it's not-
I will at our next meeting.
No, that's fine, and that's great, and that's the point of this, is so we get kind of an ongoing
Sure. Yeah, I'll
update.
I'll make a note of it, of course, if there's
Alright,
anything worth
is-
sharing.
Right, is there, have they talked about fixing the industrial, I want to say industrial revolution, industrial restrictive?
We're not there yet.
Okay. Because that's the one that I think needs the fastest work, that needs work.
There is I read somewhere about a citizen petition to limit the size of
I don't know.
Yes, I
building in
saw that.
industrial zone.
Yeah.
And I don't know any more than that.
Yeah.
I think it was going to be discussed at the last planning board meeting, which I wanted to listen to. I haven't yet. I'm curious to find out what the conversation is. Okay, anything else on the master plan? Okay, fire station repair update. They're still, they've worked out a price to fix the big oval window. And they're supposed, I don't know if it's done already. They're supposed to get it done before winter. So I guess the repair is imminent.
Was that included in the roof repair? So that was all
It's
included?
part of the money.
Because
They
there
are,
was damage that
they're
was
under
done by
budget. They're under budget. So they'll be able to utilize some of the overage for that issue. So there won't be any unexpected additional costs that we have to appropriate money for. And there's been no leaks in a new roof. All the plastic buckets are in a closet. They haven't had to bring them out. Yeah,
And with the rain that we've had, that's good.
yeah, it is. That's true. And we had some
It was a
serious,
Good test.
we had some serious rain.
It's funny, but it's not.
So things are
Oh, yeah,
good.
plenty in my
Things
basement.
look good on the fire station repair. Okay, the last item on the agenda here is the reserve fund transfer, which I guess all you have copies of.
Yeah,
It's hard to read. Do you mind reading the reasons?
Can I,
My eyes
can
are-
I make a point first that I made a few years back, but was with a different accounting personnel? Can we get that color changed? So it's not so darn dark? Because when you copy it,
I
it's
couldn't
ridiculous.
read it online.
I couldn't read it online either. So if this is obviously one that Dina gave us a copy from the thing, and I mean,
Yeah, once I had the original, I tried to lighten it.
well, yeah, and that's the thing, is that we shouldn't have to do that. I mean, there's, this is not like a maybe it is a pre-printed form, but fill the form out and get a blue. That must be the color for transfer. But get a lighter shade of blue for a copy. Please.
Okay, we're all good with color?
And I'm good with this for this year. That's what we make sure.
Are we okay? Are we
2021.
okay with our colors? All right, moving right along, to now we're gonna go to words. Okay,
Very good.
I will read this as best I can. It's a request for $7,000 for legal advertisements, and this request is for various boards, including the Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Select Board, Appeals Board, and others, because they've had an exceptionally higher number of notices for hearings and a workload in terms of things that have to be advertised in newspapers and in various other places for public notification. Job advertisements due to
Unanticipated.
unanticipated
That's what I thought, okay.
unanticipated resignations and retirements for Department of Public Works, I guess that is, Health, Treasurer, Collector, Clerk, Conservation Commission, and other positions. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the price of legal ads lately, but they're really expensive, cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars to put a column like this in a newspaper. And some of the legal postings that the town has to put out are quite lengthy. You know, if they have properties that they're, what's the word? Foreclosing. Is that your department?
Yes, it was.
Yes, foreclosing and that sort of thing. I've seen multiple columns as an advertisement, that's required legally. So anyway, there was the original budget of $10,000 and they've gone, they anticipate going well past that. So they're looking for an additional $7,000.
I have a lot of questions, I'm sorry. Okay,
Go.
was the $10,000 budgeted, that was for the fiscal year 2022 budget, and they're gonna exceed that, so 21, sorry. I'm already,
22.
yeah.
We're-
22.
Okay,
No, we're in 21.
We're in 21.
We're in 21. So this original amount was for 21.
22.
This
Fiscal year
is-
toward.
We're in
fiscal year,
22?
It
yeah.
ends,
We're gonna go 23.
We'll be budgeting for
Okay.
21st.
All right,
next thing. Anyhow,
This
time
year,
I'm not-
this year,
this year.
originally budgeted
yeah.
10,000.
So they've already spent 6,400, right? That's what this means. The balance in this particular account is $93 right now, and is the 3475 what they already have like where's the 3475 and where's the 7,000 coming from? So my concern would be, that's great. I know personally how expensive legal ads are with Doom for my job a lot. But what's the breakdown of this? So where's the $7,000 coming from?
All right, so let's look at each line item. $10,000 originally appropriated for this year. Pick a number. They've already actually sent out money for $6,431. They also have already encumbered, in other words, they have anticipated
Yeah.
legal expenses based on activity that they've occurred
Yep.
for $3475. So they know that all but $93 is already out the window out of the original 10,000. And we are halfway through the year.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just, the $7,000 just, typically in my other job, if I were to get a request for $7,000, it would be a breakdown of exactly what it's supposed to be used for. So I guess I just don't want a vote to transfer $7,000 if we don't know exactly, is that gonna be enough? So when this says all of these hearings and everything, what's the breakdown of it? What's the anticipated use of it?
We don't know, we don't know what it's gonna be used for exactly. It's just that we don't know. They're
Okay.
anticipating based on the level of activity, which is spelled out in the narrative, that level of activity. If that continues, we're 2/3 of the way through the fiscal year.
Yeah.
No, we're not, we're halfway through. And they're asking for an additional 65% or 70% of the original request that they've already expended. They may have to come back for more,
Yeah,
and they may not expend it all.
So I guess, let me articulate a little bit better. We know how many job ads we need, right? We know how many vacancies
No, we
that
don't.
we have.
No, we don't.
no, because all of these were unexpected.
Unanticipated
Unanticipated.
retirements, people leaving.
So basically, they're asking for us to refill their till for all the activity that they're anticipating the second half of the year. And if it doesn't come to fruition, then the money goes back into the general fund.
Okay.
But odds are they are gonna spend even more than the $7,000. So they may have to come back for more. So they need the money so that they can pay for these ads as they need them. Because
Yeah,
if they didn't
I'm-
have the money, they wouldn't be able to purchase them.
Painful, yeah.
Yeah, I'm understanding that. I guess we already know we expended $6,400. There's an audit trail for that, right? We know what that is. So just to give the committee a better sense of what the average legal expense is, what we spend for the average job thing, just more substance behind it. I'm very data driven. You guys will get to know that. I don't like to blindly just say, yep, poof, here you go. I'd like to understand.
I think I can, because of being the accounting major, did you have a fund accounting class or government accounting class? Because that's how you gotta think of it. You've gotta actually put all the money aside before you can spend it. It's not like in the business world where you kind of go and spend it and you send the invoice through
Yep.
for approval. So it's
Not-
kind of a little backwards.
Yeah,
Of course, we have to have the money.
The fund
in the-
account.
Yep,
in
I'm
the
over that,
account.
I'm over
Alright.
that hump, I'm over that hump, but there's $6,400 that we already know how much everything costs. I just wanna understand the background behind the expenses, that's it, that's all
We,
I'm just
we
saying.
know how much 9,900 has been expended.
Yeah, I guess. I just
6,000
wanna
is out the
understand.
door.
Yeah.
3,000 waiting to go out the door. We already have bills.
Yeah, I'm
and
not,
invoices
that's
that
not
we
where
paid.
I'm getting, that's not where I'm getting held up.
Yeah.
No, not where I'm getting held up. We have invoices for $6,400 in expenses, just as a
They're
person that's
kinda-
responsible.
Where did
for
they
the-
come up with the $7,000?
Well, no, now I'm over that, because
Alright.
thank you for getting me there. But as,
So-
you know, we're ultimately responsible for the town's budget. There's $6,400 already spent. They're using what the average costs were for these items to anticipate the 7,000, which we're not even sure is enough. Just for my edification, I want to understand where that 6,400 was spent, just so I have a better understanding of everything that goes in to what is being spent. Does that make sense? It's
Yeah,
more of a,
It was legal ads.
It's legal ads, they're, it's our children's library, they needed a couple of positions over at the library, so it's running those ads, and those ads can be anywhere from $40 to a couple of $100 if you're doing, and then we had a DPW ad, we had, the building grounds, building and grounds maintenance person advertisement, the Board of Health advertisement. There's been a number of legal ads for the planning boards, and those have increased, almost doubled, and those can range from anywhere from, just looking at some of the things, upwards of up to $500, $475 for one ad for
yeah.
those.
So Nina,
legal ads. All of
Are
those.
these, just
ahead.
to follow up on that, are we talking about placing an ad in the Westfield News?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yes.
So I have a general question about that. I mean, from my time on the zoning board, I really never understood what the compulsion to, somebody wants to move a shed 3 feet closer to the line where they needed a 3-foot variance. They have to post a expensive ad in the Westfield News. And as far as I know, the legal requirement is that the town just makes it that posts it publicly, which could be on the bulletin board in town hall and on the website, and maybe on a Facebook account or something that the town has. It doesn't have to be. And so I wish the Westfield News all the best, but I don't understand why the town feels that they have to publish everything in the Westfield News as if that, as if it's 1975 and everybody's still getting the newspaper and reading it anyway. So, I mean, if I was posting, if I needed to hire somebody, I wouldn't go to the Westfield News and post an ad anymore. I would go to monster.com or any number of websites that you get candidates on, and it's very cheap and effective.
David, it's Alita. I would agree with you from the job side, but I would, believe it or not, like on the bank side, we still have to post legal notices in physical paper, so that could be something that is in the actual legal, so that would be something we could definitely look into. That could be in the legal bylaws of either the town or the state. So though that they're very expensive, and I agree with you. But I appreciate, that's what I was kind of looking for, is we have a handle on the 6,400 and what percentage is legal ads, which are really, really expensive, and what percentage are human resource type ads. Okay.
Laura, do you have a breakdown of every legal ad that we posted?
I have a breakdown of the invoices, the descriptions are not all,
The descriptions are what?
are not just clear. Some of them just say legal ads, we'd have to pull.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that,
But there is.
They're itemized, right?
Yeah, they're on.
Did you provide that information to the committee?
Yep.
For them to look at?
Yep.
To give everybody a better
I can
idea
do
of
that.
I'm all set.
each one? Okay.
And the
I think
Westfield,
that might give you an idea.
yeah, just my own personal, I just want to understand.
the
I mean, I've never seen
Westfield
that.
paper, the Westfield paper also is a lot cheaper, I believe, than the Republican, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So,
Is that a promotional?
no, I'm just saying, I mean, we had to do the same thing back then.
No, I'm not trying to be difficult. It's more of if, you know, as
Yeah,
a
it's
new
all-
member,
Exactly.
being responsible for the budget, I want to make sure, you know, I'm not gonna ask for it every time, but I just want to have a understanding of what types of requests these are and what goes into them.
Wait till we get, not so much this year, but wait till we get additional for legal, you know, for lawyers and stuff
Don't
like that.
forget that.
Yeah.
Because you can't, they can't,
Yeah.
they can't tell you.
I know.
What that's for.
And in the budget process, you'll probably see that they'll do level funding. They'll come back with a budget of $10,000 next year, even though, say, they spent $20,000. There might be discussion of upping it a couple $1,000s, but they just don't know. So we'll go back to the 10,000, and they'd rather come back and ask us for more money
Right.
later
That makes
than
sense,
put
yeah.
too much into
That
it.
makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
It's kind of like winter roads, how much snow is gonna fall this year. If you know, you let them know.
But you can deficit
Exactly.
spend plowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
certain
All right,
township
any
plans.
other questions or comments on the
Bank run,
reserve fund transfer request?
other than color.
So,
And by the way, this comes out of our reserve fund, which is established every year as part of the budget process. I think it's approximately, it used to be 75,000, probably 125,000.
Reserve is
163.
Oh, we got the balance right there, right? Okay, so anyway, it's coming out of that fund for unanticipated expenses.
And we will see that drop now that we're halfway through, because you'll be seeing more of these come across for things unanticipated.
All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve? the-
I'll make a motion to,
$7,000.
And I'll second it.
We have motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Art Pennell, yes. Terry Mish,
yes,
Karen DeBeo,
Yes.
Alita Di Maria,
Yes.
David Metheny.
Yes.
David? Yes?
Yeah.
Paul Connolly?
Yes.
Richard Delisle?
Yes.
Okay, and Sheila is absent. All right, so that's approved. I believe I have to sign it somewhere here. Pass that. Oh, almost hit it all out. Okay, the only thing to discuss at this point, I believe, is we want to schedule our next meeting. Paper calendar here. Terry bought me this for Laura's printouts.
There's this great invention. Pardon my glasses.
Yeah, I know, I've always forget my reading glasses.
but some of
Okay.
those reading glasses don't even help. They're so small.
So we've got December. Anybody want to meet between Christmas and New Year's? Maybe.
Is there anything that we know that's coming up or anything? We haven't gotten,
Nothing. We can not schedule a meeting, and then if something comes up, like urgent reserve fund transfer, we can call a meeting in between without actually scheduling a date. That's what everybody would prefer, just to have the holidays. And nothing's gonna happen.
holidays. What was the date again on when people are supposed to start getting back to you on their budget requests?
We will, by the end of the month, we will have handed out all the budgets. So
By the end of what, sorry?
December.
At the end of December?
Yep, so then we give them about a month to return them, so by the end of January.
Scheduled to be at the beginning of January then?
Good luck with that. You want to do something at the beginning of January? That's fine with me. I mean, I'm all about scheduling things so we don't get too far behind. Those things do come up.
First 2 weeks, I'm jumping in the motorhome and going forwards.
Is there room for all of us?
Come on down.
Well, January 4th is the next Tuesday after first. Yeah. Want to try that? That works. Everybody on this side of the table good with that? All right, so January 4th, 5:30 here in place.
That time, so that challenge.
This room is gonna work, you know, if we ever bump into a situation where we have a large crowd, we may have to evacuate into another room if it's possible. Is that something that we can actually accommodate on a really short notice? You know, say we had 20 people show up for something. Can we take our hardware here and move into upstairs, for example, or the auditorium?
Should be up in the auditorium, no problem. That should be.
It's easy to move the equipment as long as there is a room available.
I understand.
Yeah, and there's not other meetings.
I understand. Okay, so the answer is yeah, because that may happen at some point. Every once in a while we get it.
Are we gonna officially adjourn the meeting?
We will, as soon as we have that straightened out. Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed?